Alright, now it's time for Hiru's Q&A number 25. Almost 2 months since the last one. Let's just go straight to the questions from last week. Questions. Why do you always sound so out of breath? Well, you see, whenever I'm talking in these kinds of videos, I'm usually hunched over for my mic. I really need to get a better mic stand or something so I don't have to hunch over for this. So it puts me in an odd position where I have to, I don't know, it just makes it kind of hard to breathe sometimes while talking. It's not because I'm some huge fat slob. I am somewhat in shape. I used to run 4 miles every day, but when summer hit, I couldn't do that anymore. Well, basically, the thing is, I would love to keep running 4 miles every day. It's a nice little workout thing, and it's great exercise, but the route I take doesn't have very much shade. And right around when summer hit, I used to go running, it was 80 or 90 degrees outside, which was hot, but it wasn't too bad. And then all of a sudden, summer hits, and it's always over 100 degrees all day until maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, it will finally go under 100 degrees. And I don't know if you've ever been running in 110 degree weather, but it's really hard. I'd have to, I guess I could just bring a water bottle with me if I want to do it, but the heat saps your strength like crazy. So, as I was still doing the run, and then I took 2 days off on the weekend, and then the summer hit overnight or something, and I went running around one of the first days of when the heat went over 100 degrees and never went back down. And I did the 4-mile run, and after I was done, I was like, oh shit, I can't do that. I totally almost got heat stroke. Because I've been an athlete for the longest time. Well, I want to say I was an athlete all my life, but that's not really true. It was basically just high school when I was an athlete, and then afterwards I just did token running. So anyways, yeah, it was, I know what heat stroke is. I never actually got it. That's because I live in Arizona, and it's literally a desert. It's one of the hottest places to live. So everybody knows how to deal with it and to not let their, the coaches knew how to not let their, their little athletes get heat stroke. But, I was at that point where I was like, oh shit. That was really bad. I probably shouldn't do that anymore. So I haven't been able to do that just because it's too damn hot. There were ways I wanted to combat that, though. Here I am just rambling on again when I was just talking about why I'm out of breath. Anyways, I tried waking up earlier because I thought if I woke up earlier, it wouldn't be as hot outside. So I tried going running around 10 o'clock. But that's not really... It didn't really work out very well. I just kept sleeping through my alarm clock, and I'd end up just waking up around 11:30 anyway. So I always go running around 12. Yeah, 11 to 12 in the afternoon, which is one of the hottest parts of the day. Not the hottest part of the day, but as close as you can get to the hottest part. So I can't go earlier in the morning. I also can't go running at night either. Because I do stuff at night, and really late at night, I used to go running. That's when I used to do it. That was fun. I used to go running at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. And then one day I got jumped while I was out on a run. I got mugged by 2 people. They pointed a gun at me. They didn't steal anything though, because I didn't have anything on me as I was just jogging. I did lose my hat though. That sucked. Anyways, after that I didn't go running for a year. I couldn't go outside. It was too much PTSD, but I'm over that now. That was 2 years ago. But I can't go running at night because it's not safe. I'm surprised I was going running as long as I had at night before I finally something happened. I live in a relatively nice place, but a couple miles down the road, there are some really not well places. And apparently they like to come over into the nice neighborhood where I live, around nighttime if they want to mug someone, because that's, a totally reasonable thing to do if you're trying to rob someone. Wouldn't you go to a nicer area that's really close to the not so nice areas that you probably live in? That's what I think. Anyways, back to the original question. Why are you so out of breath? Mainly because I'm slouched. If I wasn't slouched, it probably wouldn't be so bad. Like, whenever I'm doing a stream, I don't slouch, and I'm not out of breath there. But whenever I'm doing, like, the Q&A, or when I'm reading from a script, because I do have, like, all my talking points, I slouch down. It makes me go out of breath a little bit quicker. It's even worse when I'm recording a script, because I have to read it all in, like, a very exaggerated voice. Because if I read my scripts in my normal voice, which I do sometimes still mess up, unfortunately, I get a whole bunch of complaints about how boring I sound. Because my normal voice doesn't have that much energy in it. Which is totally understandable. That's why I basically just amp up my voice a little bit. I pretend to be someone who's, like, excited about reading the script. Because there's nothing exciting about being in a quiet room reading from a script. You have to do a little bit of voice acting for that, which does kind of drain your stamina, I guess. I don't know. Streaming also really drains me too. It takes a different type of stamina to just sit there and talk to yourself for like 2 hours at a time. It's really emotionally draining, I guess. If you do it enough, you'll probably get used to it, though. Kind of like if you work out enough, you'll build up physical stamina, but that could just be, mumbo jumbo that I don't know about, and I'm just spouting off nonsense. So, on to the next one. Wait, did that even really answer my question, though? Why you're always breath? Is because I'm slouched over a little bit, and talking for long periods of time kind of makes you go out of breath. Just try it, and you'll feel it too, unless you're like a, marathon runner. Since I do it, I go out of breath sometimes, even though I'm in shape. Oh, face reveal when? Oh, that's the second question. Second question, face reveal when? Let's see. Actually, you know what? There's another question too. You don't have goals? No wonder you are not confident enough to reveal your face. Now, it's not like I want or need to see your face. I'm just pointing out how confident are you within yourself. So, I guess I can just answer both of those questions at once. I don't have a plan on doing a face reveal. For the type of content I make, I don't think it's necessary in the slightest. But at the same time, I can understand wanting to see what the person behind the voice looks like. And I'm not really a big fan of that, honestly. Like, there's a whole bunch of voice actors where I would have totally have been fine never knowing what they look like. In fact, if there's a YouTuber, for most YouTubers, I actually don't want to see what they actually look like. Because the image in my head that I have of them, for whatever their voice is always so much better than what it actually turns out to be. Then I always associate what they really look like to their voice. And it always slightly disappoints me. It's like, I'm surprised someone who looks like that has a voice that sounds that good. So I always, case in point, the movie announcer voice guy. Now, he has a really good voice. Anyone who can emulate that type of things. But I have never once seen a voice actor who can do the movie announcer voice who didn't look not very presentable. Like, they've always been really, I wouldn't call them ugly, but they were definitely average or below average looking, and I was always very disappointed. I would be like, you know what, I would totally be fine to never know what you look like. But that's kind of like a personal preference. I don't like to see what people look like. I actually go out of my way to avoid seeing what people look like if I just listen to their voice. The only exceptions is if I've seen what they look like before I formed a mental opinion of them. Kind of like Jesse Cox or Total Biscuit. Like, I've seen what they look like before I got too attached to their voice. So it doesn't bother me at all. But if I've, listened to their videos for the longest time and then I see their voice later, what they actually look like, I'm almost always disappointed. I can't think of a time where I wasn't. What does that say about me? Well, I'm not going to say I'm ugly or anything, but I don't have no supermodel level of facial features either. Average, it would be a good way to describe my looks. Unless, well, I actually have a very higher opinion of myself, but I do try to stay grounded in reality, since I've been a narcissist my whole life. But yeah, it's not really a big deal, honestly. I could totally just show my face on Twitter or Facebook or something, but it's never going to be in a video. And I don't really have plans to show my face on Twitter or like a Facebook post or something, because it's not really something I do, on the norm. I don't really take pictures of myself. That's more of something that, well, I want to say that's something only girls do, but it's not true, because there's plenty of guys that take pictures of themselves. But if you were to compare the amount of people who take pictures of themselves, I'm pretty sure a majority of them would be female, because most guys don't take too many pictures of themselves, and I fall into that category. But yeah, also, no wonder you're not confident enough to reveal your face. Well, that is a legitimate worry. I mean, I'm nothing but a bundle of confidence. But, the fact that I refuse to show what I look like, that could be interpreted as not being confident enough to show what I look like, and that is a fair assessment. I've already given you the real reason behind it, but if you don't want to believe that, and if you're one of those people who believe in the underlying truths, that is, if someone gives you an excuse, you think, oh no, that's not really why you don't want to do your thing. It's probably something else, something a lot less savory, something a lot less flattering, and you're just saying these things as kind of a BS way to skirt around the real issue. That's fine. It's fine if you think that. I don't really care. At the same time, it is a valid excuse. Criticism, I should say. But I've already explained many times why I won't do the face reveal. And I think it's a legitimate excuse. But if you want to think it's because I don't have the confidence to do it, well, that's not true. But you can think it all you want. Okay, on to the next point. Let's see, the next question. RP player does raid finder. RP player learns a new spell. What about RP player in Battleground but always casting only Mind Seer? Let's see, so this was taken from 2 months ago. I recently released a new RP player does something. RP player does a couple of quests. That video was largely a failure because it only has about 15,000 views after a week. It's not very good, even for my machinimas that don't get very many views. So, why didn't it do very good? Well, I could think of 2 reasons why it didn't do very good. One of them being, I went the route of animating the animations for the thing, which is still images, and putting text on screen. I wanted to try to see if that would work out or not. Because if that did, where I could just put 2 people facing each other and just moving them slightly whenever they were talking and putting them to stand still when they weren't, which is putting text on the screen, that would allow me to do text in a machinima a lot faster. It would significantly cut down on the amount of time it would take to make a machinima, since the talking portions do take a really long time to make. Pretty much everything about a machinima takes forever to make. And that video was an experiment to see if that type of animating would go over well or not. And another thing is the RP player, Henrik Cross, he has a really annoying voice. And I gave him too much dialogue, so it wasn't really, fun to listen to. It's fine as like a side character or as a gimmick character saying those things every once in a while, but the amount of lines I actually gave him just doesn't work for the type of voice he has. Which was something I didn't really think about while I was writing the script, and I didn't really notice until I made it. But when you're making a machinima, you look at it, you hear the voices so many times while animating everything that you kind of become desensitized to everything. So by the time you're done making the video, you don't even want to watch the video anymore because you're so tired of it. So I wasn't able to find that fault until I had already made the video and been away from it for like a week, and then I went back and watched it, which is kind of a problem with machinimas, I think. I've talked to other friends who do machinimas, and they pretty much have some of the same issues. So, for that, I've actually been thinking of ways to get around that issue, because a lot of the videos I do, they seem so much better when I write them down, and then when I actually go to put them to footage, they don't really work out quite how I had imagined them. So yeah, it was pretty much a combination of the new style of dialogue, or it was probably just the fact that Henrik had too many lines in the video. But whatever the case, the video didn't do very well. It only has 15,000 views. It had lots of positive reactions, lots of positive comments, but the numbers don't lie. It didn't get a lot of views, which means it didn't really do very well. Because my other one did pretty well for a machinima. It has like 50,000 views. While that's not terribly great for a video, it's super great for a machinima video, which don't really get very many views, considering people don't really subscribe to my channel for machinimas. So all that means is, if I do another RP player does blank, I won't have him having a significant amount of lines, and I'll also abandon the idea of doing the 2 characters standing with still images and just moving periodically with text on screen. It doesn't work. It doesn't get views. People don't mind it, but it definitely doesn't help the video. And I'd rather not put anything negative in it. Because the thing is, I don't really like the way machinima dialogue looks, but it seems like a lot of people don't really care. Because machinima dialogue is pretty much 100% the characters doing emote talk, or emote question, or emote shout. Like, those 3 emotes, and the character just does it. And for most machinima series, the people who make them will just use like those 3 emotes for all dialogue. If they do it well, it looks fine. Like, Nixium does it very well, if you want to see someone who does it in a good way. But even then, you have to be very creative with how you do the dialogue. Like, you have to change the position of it. Like, if they're saying a really long sentence, you have to probably change the camera angle, you know, like once or twice while they're saying the entire thing. Otherwise, you'll run out of emotes and they'll start repeating them and it looks obvious. But if you do the same emote from a different angle, it doesn't look as obvious and actually seems to kind of flow a little bit better. But that's something only really people who, you know, like make machinimas or videos would even notice. But I noticed it even when I didn't really make videos. It was always something that bothered me. But some people do it really good, and some other people, not so well. Like, sometimes they'll stop talking in the middle of an emote or something. And it's really hard to get those emotes to match the sounds too, because they all last like a definite amount of time, and all the dialogue is usually random, so you have to sometimes, you know, speed up the emote so it'll fit, or cut off the emote like mid-emote in the front and time it so that the emote will end with the sentence. Or sometimes other people will just do the opposite, where they'll cut off the end of the emote. So they'll start the emote, and then when the sentence ends, they rigidly cut straight back to a standing position, which doesn't look as good as cutting the emote in the middle and then letting it end with their speech and then going to a standing position. Of course, all these things are things only people who actually make machinimas will realize. So I'm just going to stop talking about that for now. Anyways, the question was basically just a couple of questions about different ideas for RP player does a blank, and these are all neat ideas. It's just if I do it, I'm going to have to like make a test video first, where I do all the lines and everything, and then I just let it sit for a week and then come back to it to see if I still like it. Yeah, and I also won't do the standing thing anymore in machinimas. It seemed to work out fine though in my Garrosh video though, and the Tyrion video, but those ones were fundamentally made a different way, where that type of visual representation of what's being said works, where it doesn't really work in a traditional machinima because people are used to a different type of thing. Okay, on to the next one. Oh, I probably shouldn't have coughed into the mic like that, especially since I'm too lazy to edit it out. Next question: how did you get into freelancing, and where did you find people willing to pay you for that kind of stuff? I think this was into response to me saying I was a freelancer in my last video, because before I started doing YouTube full time, YouTube was like a supplementary. I can't say that word. A supplement to my income, because I got fired from my minimum wage job back in 2013, and that's also around the same time I started making YouTube videos, but I didn't get any real significant views until like a year later. So for that year when I didn't have a job, what I did was, because the thing is, I was already babysitting my nephew who was born like a year or so earlier. Because my sister was working at a bank at the time, and they had like this benefit where they gave you extra money to pay for babysitting. So basically my sister just used that to pay for my bills since I live with my two sisters. We live in this like 5-bedroom house, and we basically just have 2 rooms open with nothing in them. Actually, one of them basically a guest bedroom, and the other one is just kind of a storage. Not even really, it's just kind of empty. But yeah, so we all live together. I basically just babysat my nephew, and then when my sister got back from work, I would just go back and work on videos and stuff, and look for different ways to make money. And the ways I found to make money online, if you don't have a job, where to do, there was a whole bunch of things, but one of the main ones I did was this website called Fiverr, where you can like put up a service that you'll offer, and they can only pay $5 for it. But sometimes if you offer like premium services, they can add on more Fiverr, what are they called, gigs? I don't know. Like they could add on to the amount they pay you by $5 increments. So like one of the things I was offering was I can grab a YouTube video or a video from any website, just like take it from the website and edit it for whatever you want. And I think my rates were like, I can just grab one for $5 and edit it whatever you want to it. Like edit out the ending or put in their intro, because I got some people who would want me to take people's videos and then put an intro they had made by someone else on Fiverr and just add it on top. So it was real easy stuff, and they'd give me $5 for it, and then I had like a second offer where I would take 3 videos for the price of 2 for like $5 extra, and then eventually I changed it to 5 videos for the price of 2. Since, downloading videos from our website is real easy. It's just people are lazy enough where they'll just pay someone $5 to do it for them. Like a majority of the money I made from that was literally me just like downloading a YouTube video for them. And it took like 10 seconds of work, and I got $5 for it. And those were always great, but that wasn't something that happened very often. So I was making some money from Fiverr. I did a whole bunch of other stuff besides just the video editing thing, but that was like a majority of it. And then there was also Mturk. Mturk is this thing that is from the Amazon company, where they have like a whole bunch of micro jobs where they'll pay you like cents to complete. Like one of them, for example, was, I don't know why they'd pay you to do it, but what they'd have is like 5 words, and they'd want you to Google it, like type it into Google, and then just copy and paste the first link that showed up. And you do that for 5 words that they gave you randomly, and you'd submit it, and they'd pay you 8 cents. And so you could just, Google 5 words, grab the first URL that shows up, and paste it in there, and then you'd get 8 cents for doing that. But you can only do a couple of those every day, because they would limit it just in case someone was trying to bot it. Because I guess what they wanted from that was, like real research about what shows up for different types of people. That's why they limited it to the amount of times you could actually do that gig. Was it called a gig? I don't remember. There was also other things where you could fill out psychological surveys and they'd pay you like 25 cents. Usually it wasn't worth it if the survey took longer than 10 minutes. I forget what the payout was, but some surveys weren't worth doing because they were way too long and then they didn't pay enough. But some surveys were great, where they'd be like 5 or 10 minutes long to complete and they'd pay you like $1 or $2. Those are the best kinds of surveys. All psychological stuff, because I was actually thinking, this is actually a really good way to get data if you're like a college student trying to work on a project. You just go to MTurk and put out a survey. It's like, complete this survey for my psychological dissertation on how many people actually, smoke weed or something. I'll pay you 25 cents to fill out the survey. That takes about 5 minutes. And I need a lot of people to do it. And that would be a really good way to get a whole bunch of people to do it, because those surveys would also have questions inside of them, which are like trick questions. Like, this question is just to make sure you're actually doing the survey. Click not interested. And you'd go over, does not apply to me. Just so you don't have someone who just goes through the survey and mindlessly clicks on everything. They want real data from these things. So yeah, they had surveys. They also had things if you were good at typing, like just transcribes, receipts, or billboards or stuff. I could never do those because I'm a slow-ass typer, but they had tons of that. And they had a whole bunch of other things, too. So MTurk was like doing a whole bunch of micro jobs for money. I did not make very much from that. There was also this other one. I totally forgot. This one was like they had like these, a subreddit for it, too. It's called like Hits Worth Turking For or something. And there was like this list of some really good people who offered consistent jobs that were real easy to do and paid out very well. Like, one of the jobs they had was to literally just do addition. Like, this guy would sometimes just randomly pop up. He'd pay you like, 20 cents per thing, and there was no limit to how many you can do. And basically all you had to do was basic addition. He would give you like 2 10-digit numbers and just say, add these together. And then you add those together and you type it out for him. And you click submit and you got 20 cents, and you could just do as many of those as were available. So those were great. I think I had like some kind of notification to show me whenever those popped up. There's also this other guy. What he had was, he had a whole bunch of thumbnails for like porn videos. And what he wanted you to do was create a title. A unique title for the video based on the thumbnails. And he paid out a lot, so you could actually do quite a bit of those and get a lot of money just for thinking up porn title names. That was also another one where you can do as many as you wanted until they ran out. I can't really think of any other ones though, but yeah, micro jobs, freelance work. It is so much easier to make money if you just go out and work at McDonald's than doing what I did. Because I made so little money. I was basically living off of $10 a week for food. And I actually lost a lot of weight doing that. That was pretty great. But yeah, I was super poor. And then you got to the point, and that was only to like supplement the money I was making from YouTube at the time. And to supplement the fact that my sister was paying my most basic bills. So basically like rent and electricity and all the other utilities was in the amount that I was getting from the babysitting. That was basically it. I didn't really get anything else. So if I wanted to eat or pay like my phone bill or something, or to pay my WoW subscription, that's what all the freelancing stuff was for. And I did not make a lot. It was so hard. And then when my sister, what did she do? I think she quit her job to go back to finish school. So she was able to, so I wasn't babysitting anymore. So I lost that. And it was around this time that my YouTube channels were doing a lot better than they were before, to the fact that they were actually paying like almost half of my bills by themselves. So all I had to do was just find up the rest of the money for the other half. And that was the freelance work I was doing, which was ridiculously time consuming and did not pay a lot. Plus I also went to eBay and just sold a lot of shit. Like I sold all of my old video games and all my most rarest Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Because luckily Yu-Gi-Oh, is the type of game where you don't really play in seasons. Every single card that has ever been printed is usable in the current format. So like in Magic, you can only play with certain cards from like a certain format. Kind of like Hearthstone too, where you can only use cards from certain expansions in the current whatever non-wild format it is. And Yu-Gi-Oh! They don't have that. Any card that has ever been printed can be used. The way they balance it though is some cards are like banned or limited, where you can only have one of these cards in your deck. Otherwise, they totally are broken with newer cards that are released, or sometimes there'll be a card that's forgotten forever, and then a new archetype is released where all of a sudden that card is literally overpowered. Kind of like Super Rejuvenation. It was a really shitty card about like, at the end of your turn, you can draw one card for every dragon-type monster that was either tributed on the field or discarded from your hand. It was in the game for the longest time. No one ever used it because it wasn't good. And then all of a sudden, Konami releases Dragon Rulers. Dragon Rulers are all about like discarding your entire hand full of dragons and tributing dragons on the field like crazy. So all of a sudden, this crappy card that no one used, all of a sudden was like the best thing since sliced bread, because it allowed you to draw like 7 cards at the end of your turn, which is ridiculous. Another banned card is Pot of Greed, which basically just allows you to draw 2 cards for no cost. That's all it does. Pot of Greed, draw 2 cards, and it's banned because it's too good. And all of a sudden, Super Rejuvenation, which no one ever used, was allowing you to draw 7 cards at the end of your turn. Obviously it was going to get banned, but it was in the game for so long. But yeah, so that's how they balance Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff. They just go in and limit stuff or ban it if it becomes too much of a problem later on. So, because of how Yu-Gi-Oh! Works, I was able to sell a bunch of my cards that like were recently unbanned, or I just had that were rare. So I was able to make quite a bit of that. Plus I had a couple of really good games that I was able to sell. I basically sold everything, and I made like $400 when I sold all my crap. But then eBay had like this hidden price I didn't know about, where they charge you for like advertising your stuff or whatever, because it's free to list the things, but at the end of the month I had to pay eBay $150 for the $400 I made from selling stuff. I was like, holy shit, why do I have to pay so much? That's more than 20, what was that, like, yeah, it was more than 25% of what I made. That was ridiculous. But I still needed the money anyway, so I still sold some stuff. And then, whatchamacallit, there was like a mistake with my financial aid since I was still in school. And they gave me a summer payout, even though I wasn't taking any summer classes. And that totally saved my ass because I was flat broke. eBay wasn't really working. I wasn't making enough through YouTube. All of my freelance work wasn't anywhere near enough. I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to get a job. I'm gonna have to go like work at McDonald's or something. Oh, but I don't really want to. I want to make this work. And then the financial aid thing went through, and the financial aid mistake, and that was able to hold me over for a couple of months, and then my channel took off. And I no longer had to worry about any of that, because when my 2 YouTube channels were barely making about half of what I needed to pay, because my bills were super cheap. Ridiculously cheap. I forget why. They're not all that cheap anymore, but they're still not expensive, because I may live in a nice place, but this nice little suburban area I live in is like in the middle of nowhere. I don't know why the hell they're building all these houses out here, because there's nothing. I have to drive like half an hour to go to the nearest movie theater. But I have all of the major fast food chains down the street from my house in all directions. So, like, because all the houses are built out here, they build a whole bunch of shit that people, need, like tons of fast food places. I have a Walmart down the street. I have a a supermarket down the street the other way, like a major supermarket. So I have like all necessities, but if you want to do anything entertaining, you have to drive far away because there's nothing out here. And because of that, rent's cheap. Because, property values are mostly determined by where you actually live. And Arizona's a pretty cheap place to live, especially where I live at. So luckily my bills were super cheap, and I wasn't making enough with freelancing. until you get my channels took off. And yeah, I started all of a sudden I was making enough from YouTube to pay all my bills plus actually buy food. And the freelance stuff was just extra money. And then eventually I just stopped doing freelance stuff because my YouTube stuff was able to pay for all that and then some for saving. And now I basically just save everything because I'm scared of taxes. I basically don't really spend too much now. I make more than enough to live off now. And I save everything to pay taxes. Oh, because I still haven't... well, my sister's an accountant, and I'm just going to have her deal with everything, so I just trust her word on it. But basically, I have enough saved up to pay for it, but I have even more saved just in case I might have done something wrong. But I have more than enough saved up, or I don't have to really worry about that. I think that's probably a big deal for most people who get into this kind of thing where they have to pay their own taxes and they don't save for it. And instead they just spend all their money as if it's, their money, where they don't know what an income tax is. But I don't have to worry about that. I'm basically totally fine with that now. And that basically goes on to my next question. Hiru, help. I need to make a living off YouTube. What do I do? Wow. Get lucky like I did. I didn't start making a living off of it until a year and a half after I started. Yeah, so that was basically after the summer where I was just straight up flat broke. When I was totally almost about to go get a job. Oh, poor me, I needed to go get a minimum wage job to support myself. My life sucks. Yeah, I would have just gotten one. I just really didn't want to get a job because it's so much fun not working. Because I worked at a minimum wage job for 5 years. And the general public is terrible. I have so many stories about just the dumbest employee. You know what? There's always one story I always think of whenever I think of just terrible customers. I think I'll tell you guys this story. Okay, so this was like towards the end of my working at Golfland. The place I worked at was an entertainment place called Golfland Sunsplash. Golfland, as its name suggests, was like a mini golf place. They had 3 different mini golf courses, all of them kind of old and worn down. That place really needed some repairs. It was so old. In addition to the golf courses, they also had an arcade inside. The arcade was actually pretty nice. They had a lot of new stuff. Whenever one of the new games come out, they'd usually get the arcade machine for it and put it in. So the arcade was totally up to date. We actually had people who would come in just for the arcade all the time. And then there was also bumper boats and race cars. go-karts. I hated working both of those. But anyways, this day I was working... Fuck, what was I working? I don't know. I don't think I was laser tag. We also had a laser tag room upstairs. But I was in the arcade for whatever reason. And the arcade worked on a game card system. Basically, most games cost anywhere from 25 cents to $1 to play, or 25 cents in increments in between. So you 25, 50 cents, 75 cents, $1, etc. The games cost in increments of 25 cents. So, there was this birthday party going on upstairs, because there was always birthday parties, because it was a pretty popular place to have birthday parties. And one of the things most birthday parties has was they'd give you a game card, which had 10 credits on it, which was basically, what is 10 credits? $2.50? Yeah, because 10 credits, 1 credit was basically just 25 cents. We didn't really have a credit system, they just called it 10 credits. I guess just to make it not sound like, we give you a card with $2.50 on it. But that's basically what they had, was a card with $2.50 on it. So, this guy comes up to me, and he says, hey, my daughter says her game card's not working. And I was like, okay, sir, since it's all mechanical, well, not mechanical, I don't think that's the right word for it, since it's all electronic, there's a trail on what the card was actually used for. And we use brand new cards for basically anything, because we have boxes and boxes of those stupid cards. They were cheap plastics, they're really cheap. No reason not to give someone a new card every time. So they had a preloaded card with $2.50 on it. and he told me the card wasn't working. What this usually meant was that they had used up all their money, or they didn't have enough money to play a certain game. So I went over to the machine, and I swiped the card to see its history. And lo and behold, the card had been used at the claw machine, which cost 50 cents to play. I think it was used 5 times. Yeah, because it was used at the claw machine 5 times, which means, 50 cents, it times 5 was 250, it used up all the credits. I was like, oh, you see, sir, this card was used over the claw machine 5 times, that's why it's out of credits. It's because it was already used. And, totally reasonable explanation. There was even a trail. I could literally show him. It was in front of us because we had machines that would check to see what you spent the money on the card with. And the guy takes his card back and he's like, so, are you calling my daughter a liar? I was like, what? He goes, I said this card doesn't work and you're calling my daughter a liar. I was like, no, she used the card. She probably didn't know any better. Oh, so now you're calling my daughter stupid. I was like, I don't want to deal with this. I just walked away from him because I didn't really give a shit. I was like, you're being unreasonable. He goes, hey, you can't walk away from me. I'm going to talk to your manager. It's like, okay. What I really should have done was been like, sure, if you want to talk to the manager, go for it, because the managers were always on the employee side. Because managers, like all the managers who were there had been workers beforehand. They all knew how crazy customers were, and they were usually always on the employee side. So the manager would totally been on my side, but I think I was in the middle of something else, and I just did not give a shit. So I just ignored him and walked away. Because I already told him what happened. I think I saw him later on. He was just arguing with like one of our supervisors at the table about this stupid card and how one of the employees was super rude to him. And I just remember thinking, oh my god, you are such an idiot. You're such an annoying person. I know why you're doing this. You just want something for free. That's the only reason people would argue about something like that, where they're clearly in the wrong, is because they want something for free. But it is so annoying. I have so many more stories like that, but that guy just pissed me off. And I only remember it because it was like one of the last things that happened before I got fired. The reason I got fired, though, was because I left work early one day. Totally reasonable thing. There's actually more to it than that, but I don't really want to go into that story right now. The gist of it, though, is I got fired for leaving early one day, without telling anyone. Alright, so let's go into the next question. Hiru, help, I need a way to make a living off YouTube. What do I do? Make videos that do well on YouTube. Go on YouTube and see, wow, look at all these videos that are doing very well. What is it that they're doing that's making them get this many views? And basically, just straight up plagiarize them. No, don't do that. That's what Warcraft Bible does. No, what you gotta do is, see what other people are doing, and if it's working, see why it's working, and see if you can emulate that in your own way. Quality isn't super important. There are lots of people who do very well, even though their videos aren't very good. I can think of a couple, but I can't really say them without throwing shade. But, yeah, top 10s do well. Drama does well on YouTube. It's all about what does well on YouTube. Videos that do well on YouTube don't usually do well on Reddit, I've seen. Like a video on Vine that will get a crap ton of views on YouTube, if one of my fans posts it over to Reddit, it usually just gets downvoted. It's like, well, I already know this. This is why I don't post my own videos to Reddit anymore. Because what does well on YouTube doesn't do well other places. But you gotta look what does well on YouTube, not what does well at other places you visit, and you just want to make videos about it. But I guess you can also just make videos about it and get popular anyway, if you get lucky. But if you want to, skirt around the luck factor, you have to do stuff that you know will do well, or get lucky, and just do whatever you want. I'm pretty sure there's a third option, but those two seem to be like the biggest thing. Either do your own thing and get lucky, or see what does well and copy it, but just put your own little spin on it. And even then, that still might not even take off. What did you think of Overwatch? Did you get a chance to try out the game? If so, were you going to make videos on Overwatch, like commentary or gameplay? I think I got a couple of questions about Overwatch, because I think Overwatch came out 2 months ago when I made my last Q&A. The thing with Overwatch is I don't actually like first-person shooters. So, when I got into the Overwatch beta, I tried it out, because I don't really like first-person shooters, but maybe it was just those first-person shooter games I played that I didn't like. And maybe I'll like Overwatch. And I played Overwatch, and I was like, well, this seems like a neat game, if it wasn't a first-person shooter. I still don't like first-person shooters. Kind of like how I love Metroid, but I don't like the Metroid Prime games because I don't like first-person shooters. They'd be so much better if they weren't first-person shooters, FPSs. Even though all the Metroid Prime games are supposed to be, really good. And I've tried playing the first Metroid Prime so many times, but I always get so bored of it because I hate the view. I hate first-person view. It is the worst. I just don't like it. I don't really have any problems with other types of gameplay. I just really hate the first-person view of games. So I don't like Overwatch. Like when Heroes of the Storm came out, I had already been a fan of Dota 2. But I stopped playing it because I was tired of hour-long games. And then losing most of the time whenever after the hour was over. Yeah, those weren't very fun. But the game itself was pretty fun. I tried League of Legends, but then I didn't play it. Not because the game was bad or anything, but because I really didn't want to learn a new meta. It was I don't know what any of these items do. But I have all the items in Dota 2 memorized. I really don't want to try to memorize all these. Plus all the new characters and everything, I just don't really want to give it a chance. But from when I did play, it seemed totally fine. If I played it more, I'd probably get more into it. So when Heroes of the Storm came out, and they were removing a lot of the annoying things I didn't like from Dota 2, like last hitting. Last hitting is the dumbest mechanic. When I first heard about last hitting, when I started playing Dota 2, I was playing with someone who knows the game. They're like, okay, make sure you don't attack the minions in the wave, because you don't want it to push too far over to the tower. I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense since you want to fight underneath your tower rather than your opponent's tower. And then they also said don't hit the minions at all until they're really low in health, and you want to be the person to land the last hit, because otherwise you don't get gold. And I always thought that was so dumb. It's why would you just get gold from hitting it once? Why do you need to do the last hit in order to get gold from them? That doesn't make any sense. I did it. I learned how to last hit anyway, but I always thought it was a stupid mechanic, and League of Legends had it too. And then Heroes of the Storm, they don't have last hitting, and that was what instantly sold me. I was like, oh shit, that's awesome. You made the minion waves work how they should work in the first place in the other games? That's great. And then the whole no buying items thing I thought was kind of... I didn't know how that would work out. I was like, how are you supposed to play a game if you don't buy items? Because that's usually how you change your gameplay. But the talent system makes it so you don't really need to worry about items. Basically, the talents gave you the stats and special abilities you would have otherwise gotten from the items. It's just if a game lasted longer, you could probably just get all the items you wanted and do whatever you want. But at that point in time, you might as well have just won anyway. And the talents in Heroes of the Storm basically make getting, items useless. You don't really need it. Plus, the fact that there's objectives, you don't always have to be in lane. That was also a huge plus, too. I don't really know how that would work out, but I actually really like that better than just laning. All game, I never thought I'd like it that much. Plus, I want to say plus something, but I totally just forgot. Oh yeah, how you have team levels. Because it used to be in Dota 2, if you were playing a support, you were totally going to just have to accept the fact that you were going to be a lower level than everyone else, and that you were going to have no money. Because you were letting your carry get all the XP and all of the last hits, and you were basically devoting your life to theirs, so you would sacrifice yourself if it meant they could get away without dying if you got ambushed or something. So supports always had a lower level than everyone else, and they always usually had shitty items. But with team levels, everybody's at the same level, which means everybody's equal, which actually makes that a lot better. It just works out a lot better for supports where you're just not shafted, and since there's no items or gold, you're going to get your talents anyway, so you don't feel like you're gimped compared to everyone else who's going to get all those awesome items, which is another thing I really liked about it. I really just like Heroes of the Storm better than Dota 2. And I do want to say League, but I didn't really play enough of League of Legends, but it's basically an easier version of Dota 2. So Heroes of the Storm is basically a MOBA game with all of the annoying shit taken out. And it's great. And also games are short. You're not going to see... In Dota 2, a short game was like 45 minutes long. In Heroes of the Storm, a long game, like the longest of long, is 45 minutes long. I just love how much shorter the games are. The community is basically the same. People are going to be assholes all the time. You're going to have people who are just going to feed for no reason. But yeah, I was already a fan of the game style, and they fixed a whole bunch of things I hated about Dota 2. And then with Diablo 3, I remember when I played that game when it came out, I was like, ooh, this is like God of War, except you get to kill more shit, and there's no annoying QuickTime events. And you get gear just like WoW, and some of the gears have special abilities. Oh shit, this is really fun. And then with StarCraft 2, I've never played a RTS before, so I tried it out. It was pretty fun. I was like, I can get a lot better at this if I devote a lot of time to it, but I don't want to. So I stopped playing StarCraft 2 just because I didn't want to invest the time I thought would be needed to get better at it. Alright, I'm gonna take a little break to get water. Alright, I'm back. My throat totally got dried out. I'm gonna have to speed through these last couple of questions. Because I wasn't expecting to take 50 minutes on the first couple. But I guess I always underestimate my ability to ramble on about certain things. Okay, so, what do you think of Overwatch? Oh, I never liked first-person shooters, and Overwatch didn't change my mind on that. The reason I play all the other Blizzard games is because I did like games of those genres. And the Blizzard versions of it were really good. So, next question. Are you artistic? No. I wish I was. I spent a lot of time trying to learn how to draw better. Ever since I was in first grade and Pokemon came out and I wanted to draw Pokemon. I think that's how it all started. That might be how a lot of things started. Maybe little kids, they start off wanting to draw Pokemon or want to start drawing dinosaurs or stuff. But I would always draw my own made-up Pokemon. Fun stuff. So I always try to get better. Every time we had one of those book fairs, I'd always buy those how to draw books. Those were so useless. They were such shit at teaching you how to draw anything. And then when I got to middle school and high school, if they had any kind of art classes, I took them. And so I took how to draw, art, advanced art, and just other drawing classes. I don't remember the names of all of them. Were they called art class? I don't know, but basically they taught me how to draw, how to do perspective, how to do shading, different types of shading, how to do stuff in the foreground, the background, how to properly draw shapes within stuff. And through all of that drawing, because I took at least 3 drawing classes, because I took art, and then I took advanced art, and then I took another advanced class in high school. So I took 3 classes in art. And what all those classes taught me was my years of self-practice. Compared to someone who had natural talent at it, I was below mediocre. It was really disheartening. I remember when I was in the advanced art class with all these other people who were really good at drawing. My stuff wasn't the worst by far. I wasn't terribly bad. I call myself below mediocre, but I was basically at mediocre levels. I was better than the people who were just totally untalented to the degree of they can't draw anything. But I remember there was this girl who sat in front of me, and she had finished up her project early, and she started just drawing a picture of a person, an anime person or something, and she drew it so well, so quickly. In 5 minutes, it was a perfect representation of something that you'd probably see in a legit serialized manga. I was like, holy shit, you're super good at drawing. You're the same age as me. And I've been doing this my entire life since I was in first grade. Shit, I can't do this. You're so much better than me, and I've devoted so much time to this, and there's no way I can get to that level. And I finally realized I don't have artistic talent. I still tried anyway, but I totally just kind of gave up. I was like, ugh, I don't have the talent for this. And it's really hard. Drawing takes so much time. Holy shit, it is a ridiculously time-consuming process. I think machinimas take a long time, but those are easier to make than drawing a detailed picture. It's just a lot of time and effort for something I knew I wasn't good at, so I just stopped. That's why I'm able to draw the shitty things on my jokes channel, where I literally animate the entire thing with drawings of my own. But all those drawings are drawn in a shitty way, but purposely in a shitty way where everything's recognizable. Because I do have a background in drawing. I know how to do perspective and how to do backgrounds and how to do all that stuff. But I'm just not at an advanced level. I'm better than the average person for sure, but I'm so much worse than someone who's actually good at it. Too bad I was never artistic. I was talented in other things. Like, I was basically good at anything I put my mind to, but I was never, like, the best at it. Except sports. Like, I was good at anything I did athletically, except for the fact that I'm short, so I could never go, like, to the next level. The fact that my body was small made it so I could never be great, but I had great reflexes and game sense, and I could learn fast and other people, and I was so much better than everyone else. But if someone was anywhere near my level of talent, but they just had a bigger body, I would lose, just because sports are unfair like that. If you have a bigger body, you have so much of an advantage over everyone else than if you were actually talented at it. Now, if you're talented and you have a big body, you hit the golden time. And even then, there's other people who are more talented and probably have bigger bodies than you do. And I was one of those people who was really talented, but I just had a small body, so there was nothing really I could do. I say small, I'm 5'6". I'm not super, super short, but I'm definitely shorter than the average person. So I was talented at something, at least. I'm also pretty good at pretty much anything I try. Notable exceptions being I'm really bad at learning a second language. Because in school, I was good at literally every single subject. There was nothing I was bad at, because I got straight A's in everything. Except, like my Spanish classes. And that's mainly because learning another language is so boring. I just can't do it. Whenever I try to study, like when I was trying to learn Japanese, it was just so boring. It was boring to the fact that I would literally just sit there and stare at the screen for like half an hour, rather than actually try to learn the material, just because I did not care. I could not get myself to care. It was so boring. If only I had like Ritalin or something, I'd probably do a lot better, but I was not good at it, just because it was so boring I could not concentrate. But I mean, like, everything else is boring too, but not as boring as a second language. So yeah, drawing, I'm better than the average person, but I'm not great or talented, and I'm really bad at learning a second language just because it's so boring. I don't care. But everything else I've basically been good at. I'm good at so many things. That's probably why I have such a high opinion of myself, and why I've been a narcissist most of my life. Because I've been legitimately good at so many things, but I wasn't good at the one thing I wanted to be good at. I'm just above average. Below average by an actual artist's standards, though. Let's see, next question. Wait, you're 14? I thought you were 17. That's a joke from my streams. I used to like to say I'm 15, because a lot of my subscribers or people who showed up to my chat were all pretty young, like in high school, or 15 or lower. So I'd always joke to say that I'm 15 as well, even though I'm actually 24. So I guess that was just a joke that plays on that. If someone asks me my age, I'll usually give a fake age. I'll usually say I'm 15 though, or sometimes I'll forget and I'll say I'm 14, or I'll say I'm 17, or if I'm playing Alliance, I'll say I'm 12. Next question. Wait, 55k subs. Are you able to do full-time? No, wait, 55k subs, and you're able to do YouTube full-time? How the fuck? Well, I kind of explained that earlier, but not really, I guess. You see, the thing is, there's other people who have more subscribers than I do who can't do YouTube full-time. Like, 2 of them I think of, like, off the top of my head, would be slightly impressive. He has, like, 70,000 subscribers, I think, but he doesn't do YouTube full-time. And there's also this other guy I follow called, like, Bernie Reeds. I don't know, he was featured in, like, a Filthy Frank video a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was a couple months ago. I don't remember, but I watch his videos. That's basically, I basically stole his format for my Ask Reddit channel, where I just sit there and read stuff. He has almost 100,000 subscribers, and he can't do YouTube full-time either. And there's a reason I'm able to do it full-time, with less subs than him. I'm at like 60-something right now. Let's just say 60k to keep it in even numbers. But I was at 55k at the time of my last Q&A video. So, the reason I'm able to do YouTube full-time at 60k views, and while someone at 70k views and someone at 100k views can't, is because I get more views than them. Views are all that matter on YouTube for making money, not subscribers. Subscribers are a pretty good indication of how many views someone gets, but that's not everything. Sometimes people have a lot more subscribers, mainly because they have like 1 or 2 or a handful of popular videos, but then they don't make videos anywhere near related to what got them those subscribers in the first place. And sometimes, no, that's pretty much it. I can't really think of any other scenarios why people have lots of subscribers, but not very many views. To put my views in perspective, I get a ton of views, considering how small of a sub count I have, because the videos I make, like my most popular video is my top 10 hardest raid bosses video, with over 1 million views. And that was the video that actually allowed me to start doing YouTube full-time, because it got really popular really fast and totally went viral. And because that one video got really popular, people were looking at my channel, and they're like, oh shit, this guy has a whole bunch of other videos pretty much exactly the same as this super popular video. And that's why I'm able to do it, because the videos of mine that are popular, I have a lot of, and I keep making. So I make a lot of the videos that are very similar to the videos that got popular, so people are watching all the videos I make. So I get a lot of views, which for some reason doesn't translate into subs. I don't know, I guess I'm not the most charismatic person in the world. Or because I don't have a tagline at the end of any of my videos that say, remember to subscribe. Because that does actually work. There's a reason YouTubers say that. Like, there's a reason YouTubers do a whole bunch of things that don't make sense, but a lot of things they do also do make sense. Like, one of the things I agree with other YouTubers is the fact that they say, hey, make sure to subscribe and like, the end of a video, because that actually translates to a lot more subscribers and likes than they would have otherwise have gotten. Turns out simply reminding someone to do something will actually get them to do it. Also, those little end cards at the end of the video, those get actually quite a bit of click-through rate. I'm glad I copied that too. But I never did copy the make sure to subscribe at the end of my videos thing. I'm not going to say that's the whole reason why I don't have a ton of subscribers, but it's definitely not helping. I say that, but I think I have said it like once or twice. Shit. I thought I had enough water to heal my dried out throat. To put my views in perspective, let's say Nixium, he recently hit 200,000 subscribers. Nixium gets about 20 to 25% more views than I do, and he has 200,000 subscribers. That should tell you how many views I get. It's quite a much. It's quite a lot. Plus, I also have my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Let's say, for example, my WoW channel gets about, I don't know, 1 million views, 1.5 million, somewhere around there. My Yu-Gi-Oh channel very consistently gets about 250,000 views. So no matter how many views I get on my WoW channel, I'm always adding, 250,000 to it. And to do YouTube full time, I would say you need about 1 million views at least. And even then, you're kind of cutting it close. For me, I was able to YouTube full time when I was around like 500,000, 500,000 views. That's because my bills were super cheap at the time. Ridiculously cheap, but now I make way more than that. And my Yu-Gi-Oh channel consistently gets about 250,000 views. So you always gotta add that on to it. I have a second channel that does very well. So that's why I'm able to do it, because I have a second channel that's kind of like a backup. It always gives me like a consistent 250,000, which is pretty good. Plus the fact that my main channel always gets over 1 million views every month. 1 million to 1.5 million, which is really good. While Nixium makes about 2 million to 2.5 million. So he makes, like 25% more than I do, with 4 times the subscribers. That should tell you why I'm able to do YouTube full time. I get a lot of views. Way more views than a channel of my size usually gets. Okay. Well, I mean, there are other channels that are, smaller than my channel that get even more views than I do. And there are channels that are a tiny bit bigger than mine that also get more views than I do. It's basically a case-by-case basis. Just because someone has a ton of views doesn't mean they can do it full time. Conversely, just because someone doesn't have a ton of subs doesn't mean they're not getting a shit ton of views. They're just not getting a very high sub rate to the amount of views they're actually getting. Okay. Last question. This one's pretty long. I think this one's in relation to the why I didn't make a Q&A video for so long. Let's see, the question goes, I'm a fan of your channel, but not of these types of videos. I know a lot of your subs like to hear you ramble, but it only seems like that's good for putting the viewers to sleep or something to listen to while they're doing something else. I thought both sides of the coin should be shown because I see comment sections talking a lot about loving it, but only 64 people out of 4K at the time of writing this commented, and your other videos get like 100 to 350k views. Even though I know this one is relatively new. I'd like more opinionated videos with facts like Garrosh did nothing wrong, but I know those take more time and creativity than reading from my list of questions. I think people like videos where we can tell there's a lot of good work, creativity, and editing though. Disclaimer, this is just my opinion. Okay, you see, this guy right here, he totally gets it. That's why I said my RP player does questing is a failure of a video, even though it got a majority of positive comments. I don't really consider comments too heavily in how a video does. I look at the actual statistics of the video itself, and not the opinions of the people who were nice enough to comment on it. I do take those into account, like this is a really good comment right here, but most of the time, the people who are actually going to comment on the video are usually going to do it either because they have a strong opinion against it, or because they're already a fan and they're like, hey, I like this stuff, keep doing it. So comments are not super valuable. I have to look at the statistics and everything. But yeah, he totally gets it. This is when I was talking about why I didn't want this video on my channel, because it's not really a highly edited or well thought out thing. It's basically me just rambling while reading questions. I was thinking about putting on a different channel, but I eventually came to the conclusion that I don't really want to go through the effort of doing that. So I'm going to keep putting them on this channel, but I'm just going to make them more infrequent. Not every 2 weeks, but like every month instead. Mainly because I would rather my channel have nothing but like highly edited videos in them. I would like to make more videos like Garrosh did nothing wrong, but that was like one of those crazy, I did something new and it happened to do very well for no reason type videos. I could totally have capitalized on it, and I totally should have, but I really don't have any other ideas for a video like that. Because I've already liked Garrosh for a long time, so I already knew a lot about how I'd make a video like that. But how would I translate a video about whitewashing everything Garrosh did into another video? Like, Arthas did nothing wrong? I would probably get views, but there's already conventional things about Arthas doing, good things, even though he was kind of an asshole. He's like an anti-hero more than he is a villain. Garrosh was just a straight-up villain, so painting him as more of an anti-hero actually kind of makes sense. And if I was going to do it for Illidan, Illidan is already an anti-hero as well. he's actually a good guy who's misunderstood, so that wouldn't work either. And I can't really think of any other ones that aren't just straight up evil, who have no redeeming qualities to them. The whole thing with Garrosh, nothing wrong, that was more like lightning in a bottle. I can't really think of a way to reproduce it. It just kind of worked because of who Garrosh is. And the video was an April Fool's video, but a whole bunch of people took it seriously because I used real evidence. The Garrosh video is basically the example of why propaganda works. Because Garrosh is totally an asshole, and I totally just whitewashed everything he did, and I downplayed everything that I couldn't just straight up ignore, and I just basically gave him cop-outs for all the reasons he did stuff. In a way that made him seem like he wasn't that bad of a person, but at the same time I couldn't argue that he was totally an innocent guy who was just doing the right thing, because that's not true. Instead, what I was trying to do was saying, for that video, I argued that, sure, he did bad things, but he did them for a good reason. And basically, like, the means justify the... Oh, shit, I don't know that expression. Ugh, I'm getting tired from talking for so long. I'm not going to talk about the Garrosh video. Basically, yeah, this guy pretty much gets it pretty good. Most people don't want to watch a video where I just ramble on for hours. That's why these videos get very low views. In comparison to my other videos that get like over 100k views. The only people who watch these videos are people who are already like hardcore fans, or people who have nothing better to do, and they just watch it one day and they're like, oh, maybe this is good. Or they listen to it while they go to sleep, which a lot of people say they do, which is totally fine. I know I have a monotone voice, and that's not offensive in any way. That's like, oh, you use my voice to go to sleep? I used to do that too. With some Krendor videos, because he has a really monotonous voice in a lot of his Q&A stuff. And I did already purge all of my other non-super highly edited videos from my channel, so I think it's okay if I have like one video that kind of fits in the theme of the rest of the video, where I basically just talk about my channel and other things about myself and my other videos. But that I just gotta make sure it's not a frequent thing. If I moved it to a different channel, I probably could make it more frequent. But for right now, it's going to stay on this channel. It's just going to be less frequent. Because my last one was like 2 months ago. But then again, I still might just move it to another channel so I can do it more often. But then again, I don't really care about making these types of videos all that much. I'd probably rather just stop doing them rather than move them to another channel, because I can only talk about the same things over and over so many times before they just get repeated. But yeah, that's a great comment about why I was having the little, why I was having a discussion about why I wanted to move Q&As to a different channel, since they don't really fit the theme of all my other videos on this channel. Alright. Let's see, I have this little section right here that says things to talk about after. Let's see, my new upcoming series. Oh, this video is so long. Alright, let's see if I can do a good job explaining this. So the story will follow Inzoth 500 years after he's taken over the world, and he rules everything, and he's just kind of bored that no one tries to overthrow him anymore. So what he does is he goes out and tries to get people to fight him. So because Inzoth is super overpowered, he goes out and like just gives 5 random people a crap ton of power, and hopefully they'll form a rebellion to try to stop him. And then after that fails, he goes out and tries a more intricate plan where he creates 4 demon generals who are going to go and bring about the apocalypse. And he brings out like a couple of super special weapons that he created himself, specifically designed to defeat his 4 generals. And then that's where the story will start, with the main character finding one of these things and then running into Thrall, who got brought back to life by Inzoth. Because Inzoth thought, hey, if I bring back one of the old heroes back to life, they'll totally try to form a rebellion and stop me. Even though they can't do anything because I already defeated them so long ago. So the main character finds one of these artifact things that that Inzoth put out, and teams up with Thrall, and they basically go on an adventure to defeat the 4 demon generals and then fight Inzoth himself. And the twist is basically that the hero is a terrible person, and Inzoth is the one planning everything. And the 4 generals also help the main characters beat them. Like, they give them hints on how to beat them, because they were all created by Inzoth for the sole purpose of basically just getting people to form up another rebellion, because he just wants someone to fight him. Because he's bored. The series will be called The Melancholic Adventures of Inzoth. Melancholy is a disease. No, it's like a form of depression brought on from boredom. So I think it totally makes sense. That if you control everything for 500 years, you get kind of bored of no one trying to challenge you, even though you're supposed to be the evil demon general. So I want to make everything super cliche. That way it's an easy story to follow. But at the same time, I'm going to, like, just make fun of the tropes. And it's already not going to be a normal story, because everything is basically put into motion by the bad guy wanting someone to beat him. Alright, and let's see, for that little thing, it's going to be about 4 episodes long, and I'm already kind of working on it. It was originally going to be 5 episodes long, but I cut out the first episode, because I made it first as like a, whatchamacallit, like a storyboard video with just me doing all the voices, because I plan on getting other people to help me voice it, because I can't do all the voices myself. That would be crazy. The first episode didn't look as good as I thought it would, which is, well, the whole reason I made it into like a storyboard video in the first place. So I'm basically going to create all the videos myself first, with like very basic editing. You know, not actually put the machinima in, but just put in like placeholders for everything. And then I'll let it sit for like a week and see if it still works out well. And then I'll go and actually make it. So I did that for the first episode, and I thought the first episode was fine at first, but then I thought, you know what, this isn't very good. It's kind of unnecessary, and I can totally make this better if I just, you know, move things around and just add it to the second episode, rather than make this its first episode. Because the first episode is supposed to explain Inzoth and his motivations and why he does everything. And then I thought, you know what, I don't really need to do that. I can just start it off at the end of the first episode, and then have him explain his motivations kind of offhandedly while he starts up his plans in the second episode. So I've already made some changes to it, because I already have it all written out. And I'm probably going to make more changes to it, because I don't want to follow the same route of Dave and DevBot, where I wrote scripts for it and I thought it was totally fine. It was like, oh, this is all leading to a joke, where I could have totally have just, you know, compressed it or taken it out. Basically, I didn't do enough editing to my script. I just wrote the script and then I just put it straight into practice. This time I'm going to write the script and then let it sit for a while, and then make a practice video with all the lines in to see if they work. And then I'll let that sit for a while. And then if it sits well with me, I'll make it into a video. And so far I've already pretty much scrapped the entire first episode. But I think the rest of the episodes are all good. I wasn't really too keen on the first episode in the first place anyway. So I think the series will do well as long as I'm able to pull off the thing in my head. I basically just copied the idea from a manga I read. Well, the main plot points of it anyway. I didn't really copy the characters or the situations or anything. The hero's story is as old as time itself. And 4 evil emperors. That's also another cliche. I'm basically just using a whole bunch of cliches, and I'm going to use those as a setting rather than being the main point of the video. The main point will be the characters, and how the main character is just a terrible person, and how Inzoth isn't your standard villain. He actually kind of wants the heroes to win because he's bored. So I think it'll be a funny little series. It'll only be 4 episodes long, and that's it. Now, Dave and DevBot. That one I kind of considered a failure, just because it got like no views. But a lot of people who did watch it seemed to like it, but not a lot of people. And I totally understand why, though. I think I've talked about that in my last video, though. So I'm not going to go into that again. Basically, it was okay for a first attempt, but I'm probably not going to continue it. And if I do, I'm going to totally, like, just start from ground zero and start over again. And let's see, what else do I have right here? Why haven't I updated so much of my other channels? Oh, yeah, my other channels. Basically, I start all my other channels because those are things I was doing anyway. And I was like, hey, if I just record them, I can make channels for these things because, you know, I do these things anyway. And I just kind of like stopped for a couple of them. Like, I enjoy reading Ask Reddit threads, but recording myself doing them takes a lot more effort. I have to, like, you know, make sure the house is quiet and I'm able to do it all. So I'll probably do those anyway because I still do read Ask Reddit stuff. And then, like, my Heroes of the Storm channel, I totally just abandoned, even though I totally could just put videos from my streams on there. And I probably will, but I'm not going to sit down and just straight up record for that channel anymore just because Heroes of the Storm is not something I like to record and play. It's something I like to play while I'm watching YouTube videos. And then my other channels is basically just that. I found out it's a lot more fun to just do those things without recording. Recording totally ruins the enjoyment of whatever I'm doing. For some things, I'm still going to keep up the Metroidvania channel. Just because recording them actually gets me to actually play the games where I otherwise would not have, and I would have just played a Blizzard game instead. And as for my jokes channel, I still do that. It's just drawing those things takes so long. And it's such an effort. It takes so much of my energy to make one of those joke videos. My top 10 channel, I still do that. I actually paid my little brother to edit a lot of those videos over the summer. It's kind of his little summer job. He got really good at editing. Really quickly. I might have to teach him some more advanced stuff later on so he can get to my level, though, to get even better at editing. But I'm still going to continue that. I also had him write a whole bunch of the scripts, too. I always double-checked him to make sure they were fine, and I had to reject a couple of scripts because they were dumb. But for the most part, he did a pretty good job for those being like his first videos. His first time doing it, and I'll continue doing that channel, too, because I think my top 10 channel has the potential to do well. Just because those types of channels, you know, do well. And it is fun to make some of those videos, because I do have a lot of fun researching some of those topics. Because it's fun to have a channel where there are no limits to what I can make. With my WoW channel, I can basically only make things about WoW. But with that one, I can make a list video about anything I want. So I like to do stuff about things I'm interested in. That's why there's a lot of psychology and history videos over there. Because I like psychology and history. But there will also be other things as well. You know, just random facts about stupid shit. Because I like random facts about stupid shit. I understand why people like those videos because I like them too. And what other videos? Oh, my pet battle channel. I basically stopped making videos for that because the pet meta had staled out. Like no one was playing. But ever since Legion, I haven't actually started. I actually totally forgot. I stopped making videos for that channel for so long that I totally forgot to go back. I just remember that I should totally make videos for that channel again while making the video right now. While making this Q&A, I gotta go back and make some more of those videos, because I already made a whole bunch during the last pet event that was able to last me for like 2 weeks. So it's not like the channel's dead. It's just I've only been making videos for the channel like once a month. And those videos have been able to spread out because I'm able to record a lot of footage in one session for multiple videos, thanks to how easy it is to make those kinds of videos. So yeah, I don't know why I had that on there. Like, I have a bunch of other channels, but I stopped making videos for some of them, and I just slowed down making videos for others. Just because I was originally just doing those in my off time, but I ended up spending so much of my off time doing it that it was getting in the way of actually doing videos for my WoW channel, which is my bread and butter. And my Yu-Gi-Oh channel too. I was cutting back on making videos for those as well because I was spending too much time on my alt channel, so I had to cut back. And I'll gradually get back into doing videos for those again. If for those of you who care anyway, those channels don't have very many subs. Okay, so that's it. If you have any questions you want to ask me, just leave them in the comments and I'll look through all of them for the next video, which I'll put out like in a month. Maybe.